Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Fantastic Four issue 28. And this is a pretty good issue. It wrapped up the whole thing of the Griever coming to Earth and trying to get after Franklin, and did it in a pretty interesting way. It's like, okay, let's kind of see how this one shakes out. So, of course, this issue starts and it actually doesn't start where we see the Griever doing all of her kind of stuff. We get reintroduced to the Silver Surfer and what he's kind of doing under Reed's ask that he asked him to do. And we see that he usually, of course, avoids Galactus' ship Ta-2 because he thought of it as a slave pen when he was a herald. But if his friend Reed Richards asks him, he's going to try and comply as much as possible. So Reed evidently tasked him with getting the ultimate nullifier, and he got into Ta-2, got that, and pretty much got to New York with the rest of the Fantastic Four. We see the Griever, of course, is gloating and all that. Johnny, Valeria, Bentley, and Skye are trying to figure out what to do next. And, of course, that's when the Silver Surfer pops up and like, yeah, I got this because Reed Richards asked me to, and I could sense him nearby. And of course the Griever's like, give me what I want. It's like, what do you want, lady? What do you want? And of course they're trying to figure out what's going on. They're like, alright, somebody needs to use the ultimate nullifier. Why is the Griever here? An embodiment of like the end of finality. How are we going to deal with this? It's like, yeah, this is a problem. Johnny, of course, volunteers to use the ultimate nullifier. Bentley's kind of nerding out over it. He's like, can I touch it? And Johnny's like, no. And it's really funny because back in the day, Johnny would be like, can I touch it? And see him be like, no, no. Skye, and of course, Skye gets the rundown because she's the new person. It's like, yeah, whoever uses this can take out whatever it fires it at, but it also kills the person that fires it. And that's a pretty balanced weapon there. But the thing is, you're like, okay, if it usually takes out the person wielding it, they usually have to be on the same kind of power level. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going after a god, you'd have to need a god. So to take on finality, you need another embodiment. Never mind the fact if you took out the embodiment of the end of the finality of, like, entropy, what would that do to the natural order of the universe? And of course, they kind of, like, bring that stuff up. I'm like, I don't know. So they pretty much get... She's like, alright, you're not going to listen to me? Fine then. Here's your 4 champions, pretty much Sue, Reed, Ben, and Dragon Man. And she's like, give me what I want, or you go back in your necrospheres. And in the necrospheres, they're able to experience pretty much all the realities where their deaths come into play, and do that over and over again. They even make the joke that it's like Groundhog Day. And I'm like, yeah. And Reed's like, what do you want? It's like, I want to use your Forever Gate. It's like, if I gave that to you, you could access any point of time and pretty much end everything. It's like, yeah, but if you give it to me, I'll make sure that yours doesn't get destroyed. And it'll end its natural course. I'm like, you then have the Forever Gate. You could just fucking not go by that agreement whatsoever. And Reed's, of course, like, never. So I'm like, alright, go into your necrospheres. And then they're just like, alright, we kind of need them. So they come up with the plan that Silver Surfer will take on the Griever with the Power Cosmic and try and hold her off while Johnny and the rest are able to try and get the Fantastic Four out. So Johnny goes into Ben's necrosphere first, and he is getting taken out by this being Rapture, like, over and over again, but Ben's just not quitting. She makes the observation that he is, like, the toughest thing on Earth and really does justice to it, but, like, still gets taken out. And he gets, like, stabbed by all these kind of swords and then gets back up. And then Johnny's like, pretty much is able to create a distraction and gets him out of there. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna forget about that for a while. That's, of course, where the whole Groundhog Day joke pops up. And it's done well. I like well-executed jokes. I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's pretty much the perfect kind of way to compare this to. So Ben's like, I ain't gonna forget that anytime soon. Well, before that one, he actually got Dragon Man out, and Dragon Man was pretty much getting killed over and over again by his father Diablo. And, of course, he leaves Dragon Man with Bentley and Valeria because they have to deal with what's going on. And it's kind of funny because at first they were on a rooftop, and Valeria's like, what do we do? How do we get down from here? Take the stairs? And like, that's why you're the smartest one. Of course, they get down there while Johnny pretty much has gotten Dragon Man out, and of course, instead of helping him with the Fantastic Four, he they have to take care of Dragon Man. Valeria's like, fine, all right, cool. Means a lot to Bentley. He's a pretty cool dude, so help his ass out. Of course, once he gets Ben out, Silver Surfer is still dealing with the Griever, and they're able to pretty much split up and go for the rest of the Fantastic Four. We see that Doctor Doom is pretty much gloating over Susan and left her for last because of unmasking him the way she did in this current run. And it's been like 60 years he's been waiting for this. I'm like, Jesus. Just even trying to think of holding that much of a grudge over something for 60 fucking years. Doom, baby. You gotta let some shit go. But of course, Johnny's able to get her out. Ben is in Reed's, and we're trying to figure out, okay, who's coming after him? And it's actually Ben. And he alludes to something that Reed had done that was different than the whole cosmic radiation thing and the power cosmic that turned him into the Fantastic Four. And saying that, like, yeah, you're past me, but wait till you get to my point, you're going to kill him, and you're not going to think twice about it. Of course, they get out, they're all like, wow, we did this, did the impossible. Like, the Silver Surfer was talking about doing the impossible to stave off the Griever, and that they had pretty much faced all of their deaths and won. So they pretty much got out. Griever's like, here's the time limit that you did. You earned my respect, but pretty much screw you. And of course, Silver Surfer's pretty much giving the nullifier back to them, but it goes to Franklin because even though he doesn't have the powers anymore, his imagination pretty much fueled those god powers, and he's the one that, with that imagination, he was able to make things, so he's got the idea of how the universe can be unmade, and was going to pretty much use the ultimate nullifier to take out the Griever. However, Reed has the idea, okay, I can use this Forever Gate and send her to the end. Like, skip everything, go to the end. Is that good with you? And she's like, yeah, sure, alright. And I'm like, okay. So that way she doesn't have to get through anything. She doesn't have to actually do all this stuff, but she goes to her natural endpoint. And he, of course, sets it to a one-way thing. And she's like, I have a feeling I'll see you there, Franklin Richards. I'm like, well, who cares about that? And she's like, we'll see, as she goes through the Forever Gate to get to the end point of the whole universe. And it was kind of funny because Silver Surfer was like, why would anybody build this thing? This is just like, yeah, that's kind of a problem. It's like, yep, we are dealing with the consequences. So we'll have to kind of see how that kind of shakes out. I'm intrigued to see that, and I'm like, interesting way to end this. Of course, we then see Dragon Man and Bentley kind of having their own kind of rundown and everything, with everything that had happened with Valeria helping and all that. We see Nikki and Joe pretty much relating to Ben and Alicia, what happened to the house being turned into like 2D, and Grim's like, damn it, all my bowling trophies were in there. And this guy makes a kind of funny thing to Elijah. The Skrull lady. She's like, you know what, stay away from the Grimm family. And she's like, but what about Johnny? Him? You can go near. Then, of course, they're trying to figure out what's going to be going on next with the Griever. And, well, not the Griever. Silver Surfer is tasked with pretty much taking the nullifier back to Tatu and moving Franklin's creations to a new planet. And Sue's like, it kind of freaks Franklin out when you call him like that. And the other ones are like, we don't mind, he did create us, and we're kind of thankful for that shit. And, of course, Franklin's like, you know what, I'm kind of excited to see what they'll do next, or what they'll imagine next, or dream of next. Is like, yeah, that's a good way to look at it, Franklin. And hopefully this will help him kind of get through his kind of rut and gets him into kind of a new kind of headspace. But I'm like, ooh, this was an interesting way and an interesting kind of thing to like have an kind of different challenge of dealing with all their different kind of deaths and what that would kind of mean, and see the Silver Surfer brought into this to bring on to take on the Griever and to see how they would defeat her. At least, well, in this case, it was more of the conflict was brought to an end more than a defeat. So we'll kind of have to see how that kind of shakes out and where she might pop up next. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.